Hi guys, welcome to this session on Microsoft Access. In this module, I want to have a look at creating a main service details form, as you can see on the screen. So this is the next series in the service database set. So how have I created this? What I've done is I created a query first of all. So let's find the query, there it is. I'm just going to design on that one. So I just basically added all the tables and then double clicked on the little asterisks to bring every field down. So all the fields that I need are down. If I close that one off, I will save that. And then I created a form based on this query. Now I've also used a calculation field here to check whether the stock is available, and the actual stock table or parts table is hidden. You can see in a second when I go into design. So, and I've also created a formula field up there to tell me what the next invoice number is at the top there. And this table part is coloured, so you don't have to type in there. It will automatically populate because it's an auto number field for the service ID. And then you can just click through. So if I just do a new service, I just do Mr. Blue. I won't bother with his address, but when I come down to the date, as soon as I put the date in and tab off, the service ID populates. 10,000 service. Select the car type, BMW 3, £500. It is vatable, and now you're selecting what parts you used. So I did a filter, I did one. When I tab off that, I can change the invoice to the next number, 11. Stock is okay, but if I just, it's going to run an update query now because I've got the update query that we did before on this box, on exit of the form, should I say. So it will update, it will take one off the table, one off that stock level. But what I want to do is to show you what I've done here. If I put 111 and press tab, this if statement changes over. It's telling you there's not enough parts to do that. I don't want to run the update query, so I'll just backspace that. So that's what I want to look at in this particular section, how to create this form and how to do these two calculation fields. And I'm also going to do a calculation field in this table, which I'll do first off. So let's just close this form down. Don't want to run that update query. So in the table parts, what I've got there is 4 columns, but I want a calculated field here called stock, not TOC, stock status calculated. So basically I want this to say if the parts are less than, I need to do this one, if quantity is less than or equal to 5, say. If that's true, I want it to say reorder stock. Otherwise it can say stock OK. So you don't have to do this, but I like to do it. Close the quotes, close the bracket. So if quantity is less or equal to 5, reorder, spell it right, stock OK. So if I view that, yeah, stock's OK. If I change that to 4, reorder stock, put it back to 11. So that's basically how you do a calculated field with an if statement in the table, at the table level. But now let's recreate this query that I did for main service details. So create query. Before I do that, I'll just mention previously we've created all these separate ones and we've created separate forms, but now I'm bringing it all together into one place. It's totally up to you how you want to do this, but that's how I've done it. And if it works for you, it's okay. If it doesn't work, you have to try again. But now query design for this one. And you've got your tables over here, or you can just drag them from this side. So I want the customer, I want the parts, and I want the service. So bring them all in. The links will be picked up from what you've done before. I want to just reorganize these to make it look nice. And then I want all of the fields, so I'm double clicking on customer, on service, and on parts. So if I run that, so everything's in there. Just going to save this as query 1 so I can delete it later on. So I'm closing query 1 down, and now I want to create a form based on query 1, and I'll just create the form wizard. I'm not a fan of doing form wizard, but just for this it will be quicker. So that just drops everything into this layout grid. And now if I go into design on this, I can edit some of this, because you see how this says table parts item. These, I don't want these to be seen. So on mine, I've just basically hidden all of these through properties. So they're still in the form, so you can refer to them in the form. And it's got visible there. If I put visible no, they won't be seen. And I'm just going to colour those in so you can still see them there. I don't need to change that. But we do need to change this label. I'll just call it part. Just check there's any double names there. Everything else looks okay. So let's have a quick look at that. In fact, before I save it, let's have a quick look. So you can see that's now not visible. I think part ID, part number, part ID should be not visible either. I should have selected that. As well, so I will do. So I'll just colour that yellow or orange and make sure that is not visible. Now I know that's okay. I'll save that as form FRM query 1 so we know which one it is. Now what I need to do is have an invoice, a formula to work out what the next invoice is. So that's something I'm going to put at the top. So just bring that in. What you need to do for that is an AB box. So just draw like so. So this is just going to say next invoice number as a title. And then I just need to move this across a little bit. So the formula in there is going to be equals max, and then square bracket invoice number, square bracket, close the max bracket, and then do a +1, and then just have a look at that. So it's saying the next record, the next invoice should be 12. So if I go to the last record, 10. In fact, if I go to the service table, yeah, 11 is the last number, so that's okay, that's correct. They're not sorted, that's why it's done that. So that bit works, and then you can, if you wanted to, you can just make that box a lot smaller than it is. Maybe give it a colour as well. So if I go back to format, just change the colour to something, I might as well just put it to that colour. Now, I also want a formula to tell me if I select too many parts from this option, if there's not enough in stock, I want to say not enough stock. So again, I'm going to do another AB box. So AB, I'm just going to draw it there, and I don't need the label. So this is going to be equals IIF, or 2 I's, F, open bracket. So then we've got to look at the names of these places, which I should have done first off. So, but I'll just backspace that a second. So part quantity, if I go to all, just scroll up to the top, we can either leave the name the same, part quantity, and this one is whatever this one's called, just quantity. So we'll try it that way. I might have to change the names if it doesn't pick it up, but equals IIF, open bracket, square bracket. So if part quantity is greater than quantity, just square bracket quantity QTY, if that's true, we have a problem. So we need it to say not enough stock, order in, close quotes, comma, then if it's okay, open quotes, stock okay, close quotes. Expression the missing closing parentheses. Okay, close the bracket for the if. There we go, just check that comes up. Stock okay. If I put 111, it's not enough stock, so that works. That's good. Now we need to go and tidy that box up, and the whole form needs tidying up, to be honest. This is still all part of a layout, so that would be remove layout if you wanted to change everything and move things up and down, but I'll just leave it for that like that for now. We just need to make this a bit bigger, a bit smaller, and I'm going to colour that in because I like colouring things in. Orange as well. So that's that. Now the last thing I need to do is, once the invoice number has been entered, that means everything's okay. I want to run the macro on exit that we did on a previous video, which is update the stock. So it will update wherever the stock value or the part quantity you put in, it will take it off the stock table. So if I save that, have a quick look of the form. So now if I get a new one, do a new one. So this can be Mrs. Green, 1 Red Road. There's loads of 1 Red Road. City Derby, County Derbyshire, and I should have a lookup on there for these counties and cities maybe. DE2 2RT, not filling that in, don't need to do that. I do need to colour that one in, so make sure people don't type on it. Service type 10,000, and also because I've got to keep scrolling down on this, it's doing my head in. BMW 3, amount to pay 500, oops, vatable, amount to pay is at the top. Amount to pay is a calculation, so right, here we go. So part item filter 1, next invoice number is 12. Now this should do an update. So before it does the update, let's have a quick look at the parts table. So there's 11. So we've just used one. So you're about to run an update, yes. And it doesn't like forms. Okay, the update query is looking at the old one. So that's a cock up. We'll have to change that to look at this. Stop all macros to look at this form. But the update query will work. I'm not going to redo it, but I'll just show you it so you can see it. This stock update design. It's looking at the form that I already did. I'm not doing the whole thing again, but so this is why it's not working. So it's looking at that form. So ours would have to look at this form query 1, but that is the actual how the query would sit, which I did in a previous video. So if you've watched them, you should know that. Anyhow, the whole thing worked. It did run the query. It just wasn't the right query. So I'll just go into design and get rid of that. Don't want to do that one because it's not the right one. And also I need to colour in service ID because that is not to be filled in. That's automatically going to populate. So there we go. save, have a look. So that's the end of this session. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and next one we'll look at creating some more macros, some more formulas, and a navigational form to start navigating around all these queries and tables and forms and reports. So thank you for your time. I'll see you on the next one.